Where's your car now? Is your car's housed down
North
south
Carolina,
now?
right?
North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's in Mooresville, right at Fury's race shop.
And that's where Ryan is?
Yeah. Yep. Fury
Wow.
has a. It's actually Kurt Busch owns the property.
Yep.
And then Fury rents from them, and then we have some space within one of their back like assembly rooms, kind of. It's really really nice.
So there's some crazy logistics then to coordinate.
It's really just Ryan and the truck. Everything else is really easy.
Yeah.
Fury is right there. Robert Yates is right there. Every vendor we use is right there. So
that's true. Right.
It's just getting the hauler here, which is a little tough. But
Yeah.
we found a truck driver right away, and he does a good job.
Nice.
It's a miserable job. I wouldn't do it, but
Right.
Right.
don't tell him.
Wow. Yeah, I thought it was kind of shocking when that came up too. I was like, 'cause I know you're from New York. So I'm assuming the team lives down there. I mean, like some of the guys that work on the car.
No, it's just Ryan.
Just Ryan.
So yeah, when Ryan got hired, he wanted to go to Milford. That's where he grew up. Ralphie Solom's shop right off the highway there off of 95. So we were in that building the entire time since Ryan's been on board. And just every year he didn't want to be up here. He wanted to be down there. And I kind of just say it's happy wife, happy life type thing. And,
Yeah, right, right.
He wanted to be down there, and it puts a little bit more work for the team. For me and Ken to logistically figure it out, and some more expenses. But no, every crew member is either Long Island, Connecticut, and there's my spotters, New Hampshire, but everybody else is in this Connecticut area.
So what about if the car gets jingled up? You have another one ready, or is it not that big of a priority if the car gets jammed up?
I mean, knock on wood, we've been pretty good with that. But we are at a Fury's building, so the same day he gets home, he could have it stripped and on the jig in a couple hours. But we were on this past year. We had 2 cars. This year we'll have 3 probably by the middle of the season, and we kind of can rotate them. But for all of last year, we ran the same car the entire season until the last 3 races, and we ran a different car. So we really only had 2 cars ready to go all season long. So we just retired one car, one of our original Furies, and we just started building another new car. So Ken has a championship car, and I have a championship car that we kept from our first championship that just finally came out of the rotation.
So where are those cars? Are they still rollers?
Yeah, mine's in my garage collecting dust.
I mean, turnkey?
No, a roller.
Yep.
It's something I want to, keep for a little while, and as my kids hopefully get older and, maybe we have some more time and things settle down, we'll, maybe restore it and clean it up a little bit. And then the second car, Ken, actually, we just picked it up from North Carolina a couple weeks ago. It's back in New York at Ken's building now. So we both want to just keep something. I've never kept anything from the 30 years I've raced. We always had to sell it to get the next thing. And Doug Kobe kind of gave me that idea when he bought the 2 car. He kept it. So, it's something down the road.
That's impressive.
A little more time on our hands.
I'm just curious, how together are they? Do you guys strip them down, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a roller. They took the oil tank and the line. Some of the stuff that we could use as emergency spare stuff. They kept some of that stuff, and I don't know, maybe down the road just put like a crate motor in it or something if I want to putz around.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, it's more just to collect dust. I need to get a spot for it. It's not really too good at the house.
Yeah,
but
well, you're going to need a bigger garage.
Yeah, it's cool to have though.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So take us back to, like, how did you and Ken get hooked up? Because you guys have been together a long time, and that's really rare.
Yeah, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
In our series.
So just kind of talk about getting hooked up to him, where your guys' relationship started. How did it all come about?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be our 16th season that we're starting now.
Damn.
In 2025. We met in August of 2009. So there was a FedEx truck delivery service driver that would deliver to M3, and he, on the side, would sell some sponsorship to people at Riverhead, and I knew him just from coming in our race shop, our family shop, when we had, because I had a tour type car for Riverhead from 06 to 09. And he would come in there and say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to get your sponsors," and it just never really materialized.
So 09, you're what, early 20s?
21, yeah. And I was kind of on my way down. Like, it was, my dad was kind of cutting back on having the funding to do it. He still chipped in as much as he could, and I had a guy that was like my uncle at the time. We shared a building. His auto body shop was on the other side of our building, and Danny Jones, he passed away. He was a huge part of my racing career at that time, and we were raced like sporadically that year at Riverhead, and actually Doug Ojico, who's Lutz's crew chief, was my crew chief at the time, and we did that, and I was just starting to pick back up more go-kart racing nationally, just because I was like, I got to figure out something to do, and we got a sponsor from Freightliner to run the tour race that August at Riverhead. Peter Clark, he's a local guy that helped us out a little bit back in then, and we ended up finishing fourth. That was the second time we finished fourth in a tour race. It was 07 and 09 we finished fourth, and Ken happened to be there that night. The FedEx guy, Vinny, comes up to me after the race. He's like, I got a guy that you need to meet. He wants to go tour racing, and it's like one of those, okay.
Yeah, right.
I've heard this before. From so many people,
Yep.
And it might have been a couple weeks went by, and Vinny goes, you really need to come meet this guy. He wants to have a meeting with you and your dad. So me, my dad, and Danny, who was like an uncle, go over to Ken's shop. We're sitting in his office, and we start scrolling on his projector, which was behind us, and we're looking on Racing Junk at the time for used cars, and just talking about what our plans are, and what we want to do, and just so many different things. And we left, and I was like, maybe, I don't know. Like, you're 21, you're kind of ignorant to things. And I don't know if it might have been a couple more weeks went by, and he calls us back and starts the conversation by, I bought that car we were looking at. Like, what the hell? So, we came to an agreement, and he's like, what do you want from this deal? I was like, I just want to race the tour. Like, it's been a handshake ever since for 16 years now.
Wow.
We bought another car. I don't know. It might have been in the off season. We did run 2 races. I finished second at the King of the Mountain, which is Evergreen.
Yep.
And finished second that night, and then went to the North-South Shootout and didn't qualify. So Ken got all the ranges of emotions real quick in racing.
Right.
Then we bought a backup car. We knew what we were going to do. We were going to run a tour for 2010, and bought a backup car, stripped them all down, got them redone and everything. Got motors from Tony. He bought a hauler. We came to Thompson Test in April, like a bunch of big shots, and we ran pretty good. It took us a little time to get our feet under us, but it's been a crazy journey.
Were those
really
all
crazy.
Troyer cars then?
Yeah, they were. Jason Chinchiri we bought a car from, and Brian Lofton. Those were 2 Troyer cars to start, and we ran Troyer cars for the first, I guess, like 4 or 5 years, and then Billy Michael.
Yeah,
was
so
my
I
crew chief.
remember that I remember when you drove Billy Michael's car, right?
Yeah.
And the MRS. Is that right?
Well, I drove for Art.
Art.
Yeah, so 2013, Billy's dad, John Sanford, stepdad was my crew chief. And Billy got hired at the start of 13 to become our car chief. He would travel from here. He lived right up the road from here. I can't remember the town. And he would take the ferry, back and forth to Long Island. He would leave Monday morning, work Monday, stay with me Monday nights at my house, work Tuesday, and then go home, have Wednesdays off, and then do the same thing. And he did that for a handful of years. And he was car chief for 2013. And then, we knew that, like, long term, Ken knew. I didn't know any of this really at the time. Ken had master plans way in advance, it seemed. But, we hired Billy to be the crew chief the second year, and he was building that Spafco, that green machine, he called it.
Yeah, I remember
that was
it.
at Spafco for years, I think 1 or 2 years getting built. And right at the start of 14 is when I started driving for Art at the same time on the MRS series. So, we went from completely Troyer to completely Spafco real quick. And we ran their cars for 14, 15, 4 years, all the way to the end of 17s until we met with Ryan.
Right.
So Ryan, you hooked up with Ryan in 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the stats. Like, there's a noticeable difference. 2017, oddly, after having a good streak of seasons where you always won at least one race, 2017 you did not win a race. And then 2018 you won 8 times.
Yeah, it was humbling, to say the least. So at the end of 16, let's take that back a little further. The middle of 16, Billy had gotten married and was pretty adamant that he needed to be home more. So we moved the shop to North Franklin, I guess it is. And still at the end of 16, it just wasn't going to work for him long term and with his family life and everything. And we ended the season in 16 by missing the championship by like 8 points. And it was because we broke a tire out at Bristol and destroyed the car. Damn. And then he resigned at the end of the year, and Danny LaFerrier, another local guy from around this area, he had helped us that year before, and he took over to be crew chief in 17, and it just didn't go well. We didn't gel right, and just wasn't going well. And we ended up bringing Billy back in, and we housed the cars out of Spafco. It was like a crazy thing. We would work on the cars on Long Island, get them to Spafco to be set up, and just was kind of running ourselves ragged with that. And we finished the season strong at 17, but we never won. We never really led laps, but we had a shot at the end of the year to win the championship. And
Laps led in 2017, 4.
Yeah, and they might have been
It's just
under
only because
caution.
it stands out against all
They
of
might
the
have been under
seasons. here.
caution.
They might have been under
Yeah,
caution.
he did lead laps.
Yeah, we might have got off a pit road first and led some laps to a restart. Yeah, at the end of 17 though, Ken and I sat down and we knew it wasn't sustainable to continue with Billy, with me working on the cars and a lot of the crew guys doing it that way. You're just not going to beat Phil Moran, who's full time in the shop. And we talked about shutting the team down. And we actually went to meet with Phoenix, Mark and Marie at the time, and they went to dinner and weren't sure if they were going to want to come back after such a tough year. And they were like, just, whatever you need to do, let's turn this around. And we drove home that night from Massachusetts all the way around back to Long Island. I just sat on Racing Reference and NASCAR.com and all those websites and looked at what crew chief tour cars over like the previous 3 years. And Ryan Stone's name popped up, and it kind of.
Who did he crew chief before you?
Well, he was with Silk. Him and Silk are best friends.
Yes,
He never technically was the crew chief of the TS team, but he worked with Santos with Tinio for a bit, and he was down at Junior Motorsports. Well, he moved a couple years before that, and was with LFR when they opened. Was a big part of getting that off the ground with those guys, and then he stayed when it became Fury, and then he just wasn't loving that, and he always wanted to try something on the road, and he did 1 year as I think an underneath or an interior for juniors, Algire's Xfinity team, and that's when we called. We actually called him, I think, the year before that when Billy resigned and he wasn't interested. It took a lot to get him to come back, but I'll give Rob Fuller some credit on that too. He was good part of trying to make all that happen, and it kind of came together quick, and then. He moved back, and we worked at LFR's shop for the whole winter until we left for the first race, and then we had a shop set up in Milford after that. And we literally went from Myrtle Beach right to our shop, settled in, and been off and running since.
What a freaking match made in heaven, though.
Yeah, really.
No, seriously, like.
Yeah.